Homer, Odyssey 11, 12 through 224. The sun went down, and all the paths across the sea were in darkness. Our ship had reached the limits of the deep ocean. The nation of the Cimmerians lives there, and they have a city, all wrapped in mist and clouds. Never does the sun shine upon them and look at them with his beams, not in the morning when he climbs upon the starry sky, nor in the evening when he turns his back from heaven towards the earth. Gloomy night is spread over these poor people. After we landed, we beached the ship and took out our sheep. We walked along the ocean shore until we came to the spot that Circe had described. There, Perimedes and Eurylochus held the victims, while I drew my sharp sword from my hip to dig a ditch, about a cubit long and a cubit deep. About it I poured libations for all the dead, first of milk and honey, then of sweet wine, and finally of water. On top I sprinkled shiny barley. On my knees I then prayed to the dead, those insubstantial beings, and promised them after my return to Ithaca the sacrifice of a heifer, the best to be found on my estate, and a funeral pyre full of precious things, especially for Tiresias. I promised to sacrifice a ram, all black, a choice male from my flocks. After praying to the nation of the dead and making my vows to them, I took the sheep and cut off their heads over the ditch in such a way that the dark blood dripped into it. From the depths of Erebus flocked the souls of the dead, the deceased, young women and adolescents, old men who had suffered a great deal, delicate maidens who never got over their first sad experience, many soldiers who had been wounded by bronze spears and still held their blood-stained weapons. They all crowded around the trench, coming from different directions, and their wailing was weird. The fear that makes one pale overwhelmed me. I ordered my companions to hurry up and skin the sheep that lay there, slaughtered by my merciless sword, and burn them, praying to the gods of the Underworld, great Hades and terrible Persephone. I myself sat there, holding my sharp sword that I had drawn from the hip to prevent the dead, those insubstantial beings, from coming any closer to the blood until I had had my answer from Tiresias. The first came was a soul of my companion Elpenor, for he had not yet been buried deep in the wide earth. We had to leave his body, unlamented and unburied, in the house of Circe. When I first saw him, I felt sorry for him, and began to cry and said to him quickly, "Elpenor, how did you get into the gloomy darkness? You were faster on foot than I on my dark ship." I said this, and he answered in a wailing voice, "Divine son of Laertes, resourceful Odysseus, the harsh verdict of a god and far too much wine were my downfall. I had stretched out on Circe's roof, and it did not occur to me to step on the long ladder to climb down again. Instead, I fell headlong from the housetop and broke one of the vertebrae in my neck. My soul went down to Hades. But now, on my knees before you, I beg you, in the name of those who are not here, your wife, your father who cared for you when you were a baby, and in the name of Telemachus, whom you had to leave behind in your house all by himself, I beg you, my lord, to remember me. I know that once you leave from here, from the house of Hades, you will steer your well-built ship to the island of Aea. Please do not leave me behind, unlamented and unburied, forsaking me, lest I become for you a tool of divine retribution. But cremate me with all the weapons that I still have, and heap over me, at the edge of the foaming sea, a mound, so that future generations may remember an unhappy man. Please do this for me, and fix on my tomb the oar that in life I pulled among my companions." Thus he spoke, and I said to him in reply, "Yes, my poor friend, I shall take care that this is done." So the two of us sat there carrying on a sad conversation. I with my sword held away from me over the blood, while the phantom of my friend on the other side of the ditch had a great deal to say. Then came the soul of my dead mother Anticlea, daughter of the noble Autolycus. When I had left for sacred Ilion, she had been alive. I felt sorry when I saw her and began to cry. Nevertheless, even though it hurt very much, I would not let her come closer to the blood. First I had to consult Tiresias. And the soul of Tiresias of Thebes came, holding a scepter of gold. He recognized me and said, "Divine son of Laertes, resourceful Odysseus, what made you leave the sunlight, my poor friend, and come here to visit the dead in their joyless place? Please get up from that pit and turn away your sharp sword so that I may drink the blood and tell the truth." So he spoke. I drew back and pushed my sword with the silver hilt into its scabbard. The great seer drank the dark blood and then said to me, "You have come, Odysseus, in order to be told about a pleasant way home. A god will make it hard for you. I do not think that you will escape the attention of the Earth-Shaker, who still holds a grudge against you and hates you because you blinded his son. Yet in spite of this, though suffering great hardship, you may get there if you and your companions choose to control yourselves when your well-made ship first comes to the island Trinacria, finding a refuge from the dark blue sea. You will find there at pasture the oxen and the fat sheep of Helios, who sees everything and hears everything. Now if you think of your safe return and leave those alone, you may very well get back to Ithaca, though under great hardships. But if you harm them, I would predict ruin to your ship and your companions. Even if you escape, you will come home after a delay and in sad shape, in someone else's ship, having lost all your companions. You will find trouble in your house, arrogant men who eat up your livelihood, suitors of your godlike wife who try to win her with gifts. You will surely punish them for their violence when you come home, but once you have killed these pretenders in your house, either by deceit or openly with your sharp sword of bronze, you must take up your well-made oar and go away until you come to men who know nothing of the sea, who eat food that is not spiced with salt, who know nothing of ships whose cheeks are painted red, and nothing of well-made oars that act as wings for ships. I shall give you an obvious clue that you cannot possibly miss. When you meet another traveler who says that you carry a winnow fan on your handsome shoulder, then you must stick your well-made oar into the ground and offer a splendid sacrifice to the Lord Poseidon, a ram, a bull, and a boar who covers sows. And then you can go home again, offer splendid hecatombs to the immortal gods who rule over the wide heaven, to all of them in order. Death will come to you from the sea, and it will not be violent at all, but it will end your life when comfortable old age has worn you out. You will be surrounded by your prosperous people. I am telling you the truth." This he said, and I spoke to him in reply. "Tiresias, clearly the gods themselves have spun this destiny of mine. But come now, tell me something, and give me a true answer. I see here the soul of my dead mother, but she sits in silence near the blood, and she is not yet dying to look at her son or to speak to him. Tell me, sir, what will make her recognize my presence?" This I said, and he gave me this reply. "It is easy for me to tell you this and make you understand. If you allow any of the dead, the deceased, to come near the blood, he will give you a true answer. But if you begrudge it to him, he will go back to the place where he came from." Having said this and delivered his prophecy, the soul of the Lord Tiresias went back into the palace of Hades. I waited patiently right there until my mother had come and drunk the dark-colored blood. At once she recognized me, and with sad laments she quickly said to me, "My child, how did you get here, under the fog and the darkness, still alive? This is a hard experience for the living. Large rivers and frightful waters lie in between. First of all, the ocean, which cannot be crossed on foot. One needs a well-made ship. Have you come here from Troy with your companions in your ship, after wandering for a long time? Have you not yet been in Ithaca and seen your wife in your palace?" Odysseus then asks his mother how she died. She answers that it was her longing for him that shortened her life. So she spoke, but I debated within myself and wanted to take the soul of my dead mother in my arms. 3 times I started out because I had this urge to take her in my arms, and 3 times she slipped out of my hands like a shadow or a dream, and the pain in my heart grew even sharper. I said to her quickly, "Mother, why do you not wait for me when I want to embrace you, so that even in Hades we can hold each other and share the sad pleasure of mourning? Or has noble Persephone sent me a shadow to make me grieve and lament even more?" So I spoke. My queenly mother answered at once, "No, no, my child. Unfortunate beyond all other mortals. Persephone, the daughter of Zeus, is not deceiving you. This is the law for all mortals when they die. The sinews no longer hold the flesh and the bones together, but the force, the violence of the fire consumes all that as soon as the spirit has left the white bones, and like a dream the soul flutters and flies away. You must work your way back to the light as soon as possible." Before he leaves, Odysseus is allowed to see the ghosts of many beautiful heroines of Greek myth.